Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with HistoryThroughCards.com. Hope you're all doing very well today. So this video, I want to share with you my pickups from the 2023 Shriners Show in Wilmington, Mass. And the show was in early November, but right after I got pretty sick, so I wasn't really able to do any videos or show you some of the photos and my pickups, which I was, I'm really bummed out about. But anyway, this show is probably one of the funnest shows I've been to in a very long time. I usually love to go to shows because I consider them to be interactive classrooms. You can learn so much from going to a show. Generally, I kind of consider that if you were going to go to a show to have adequate lighting, like a flashlight and a black light as well. And for me personally, I always bring a gram scale as well. And I know I'm kind of like Mr. Professor here of cardboard, but I like to be prepared. The biggest problem I think with a lot of shows is the lighting, the overhead lighting. And so what I kind of like to do is take a card like this, and I've actually done a video on this particular card. So I like to take a card and kind of flip it around a little bit just to see if I can catch. I might miss, right? So I'll crease or something. You can miss if you're just looking at it like this or through a case, right? Um, so kind of like move it side to side and up and down like that, and hopefully you can catch something that your eye might miss otherwise. And it happens to everybody. And it's actually one of the dangers of really kind of buying cards on eBay. Your eye is going to miss a lot of stuff on eBay. I always ask I know it's a different subject here a little bit, but I always ask the dealer on eBay if they can send me uh, photos, or I'll get a second opinion. If you're never really quite sure about a card, there's two things you can do. You can either walk away from the deal, or you can get a second opinion. So that's usually what I would do. Anyway, I couldn't catch everything at the show. There was just so many cards there, and I'm like the anti Ryan Nolan, where he can go into a dollar bin and start picking out really great cards. I don't have that ability to do that. He's really good at it, and he gets a lot of great stuff. Um, so I'm more of the kind of guy that will look at the case, see what's in the case. I just don't have the patience for dollar bins at all, but I did come across one. I found some really interesting cards in that. But yeah, again, so like I have an attention span of a gnat when it comes to these shows because I'm like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And I'm like darting all around. And so I probably should, lay off the coffee before I go to these things too. So anyway, I was at a dollar bin and I started flipping through it, and I found something that really kind of disturbed me. So it was actually this particular card that I saw, and it's Elvin Bethea's rookie, and the dealer wanted $4 for this thing. So I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. Elvin Bethea's rookie, and it's in a dollar bin. So this is a great card, 1970 tops. If I didn't have this, I would have picked it up then and there. And then I also saw another really interesting card as well, which was the 1969 Arulo Rodriguez, and that's actually not Arulo Rodriguez. That's the Bat Boy, and for whatever reason, I think somebody may have played a trick on the photographer. So I think that's Garcia. I think his last name is Garcia, the Bat Boy. But I don't often see that card. I probably should have picked it up. It's not expensive, and I believe it's a uncorrected error. I came there with a list of cards that I wanted, and it's pretty unusual that I walk away with almost everything on my list. And usually when I'm at a show, like I try to follow a list, but I usually just end up crumpling it up and throwing it in the trash because it's like a price guide, right? And I always tell you guys too that for me, shows are like interactive classrooms. I learn so much from being at a show, and I'll usually like take a pad of paper and just start taking notes on some of the cards I see and photographing them as well, and just being Mr. Professor, and that sometimes annoys the dealers. So at the National, I was hanging out with Dustin, the personal sports card dad, and I was telling him like, like you should probably try to smell your card to see if it's legit. And the dealer, she was like, "What is this guy doing?" But that's a really good telltale sign that your card is not a reprint, and so it'll give off four different distinct scents, and I usually try to do that. It makes me look kind of strange. I know, I get it, but that's water under the bridge, I guess. I'm already strange. I usually don't like to go through boxes of cards, and because I again like I don't like have the patience for it. So what was kind of unusual here was that I stopped by a dealer and he had a stack of 1965 tops. And I really love 1965 tops baseball. And I never really collected 60s baseball cards that much. I had a few of them, but I'd always sell them because like they didn't mean anything to me. And I thought they were pretty cheap. And well, they were at the time when I was first getting into vintage. But I have since grown to really enjoy 1960s tops baseball, and I picked up a couple of 65s that were on my list, and you could kind of consider these bucket list cards. Now the funny thing is, I'm sitting there just going through this stack of 65s, and I tuned everything out around me. You could have like an alien UFO land right next to me, and I wouldn't have paid any attention to it. Um, and I just was laser focused on this stack of cards and actually all the stacks of cards that this dealer had. And I'm wondering if that's actually happened to you guys, that you get so laser focused on what you're doing that you kind of tune out everything around you. And for me, being a writer, that's really important. But it usually is kind of rare at a show. So um, the first card that I picked up in the 65 tops set is Bob Clemente. Okay, Bob Clemente. No, it's Roberto Clemente, tops. But I've been looking for this card for a very long time, and I'm not the biggest fan of graded cards. So I usually go for the card, not the grading company. And this is actually CGC, and I usually get this confused with SGC, but completely different. So I'll see if I can. There we go. So not bad for a three, and I paid $50 for it, so it's not bad. I thought I'd have to actually pay a little bit more for it, in fact. Um, and I want to show you the back of it too. So for some reason, the backs can fade, and you might want to keep that in mind. So and definitely keep them out of sunny areas. So box them up because again, the backs can fade. And actually, that's true with the 1963 Flair as well, and probably a few others that are kind of notorious for that as well. But I thought this was pretty good. It's really well centered. I love Roberto Clemente as a player and as a person. He is one of those players that kind of transcends baseball, and he died while trying to help others, and so that's what I really admire about Roberto Clemente the most, is his humanitarian efforts. And so I try to collect Roberto Clemente cards as much as possible, but they've gotten quite expensive over the last couple of years. Prior to the pandemic, actually, I was offered a 55 tops Roberto Clemente rookie for $400, and I passed it up because I have a limit on what I'll pay for a card, and that's usually $200. However, that's actually kind of like gone down over the last couple of years or so, that I'm willing to pay a lot of money for cards because I I don't sell my cards. I very rarely do I ever sell cards, and the last time I really kind of sold cards in bulk was when I was going to college to pay for college. So most of my collection is actually intact from my early 20s, when I got out of college. So that's Roberto Clemente. And you know that the awesome thing about this is the colors and the design on the 65s really, really match. The other 65 that I grabbed was Pete Rose, and it is not bad. What I have noticed about this particular card is that the centering really sucks on a lot of them, and the corners are, I found, very bad on the rows. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe this is kind of true with a lot of the 65s. Um, I'm just getting into 1960s baseball, so it is for me. It's a great opportunity to learn about these cards, the players, what Topps was doing in 1965, 64, 63, and around that time in that era of baseball and America as well. And so I was really fortunate, I think, to have acquired a card of Pete Rose from the 1960s. Now, I first encountered a 1968 Topps Pete Rose when I was in the fourth grade on my trip to learn about math and problem solving skills, and I was really kind of like, burlap backgrounds. Come on, guys, like you can do better than this. And it's again, it's a nice card. I liked the card, but I didn't like that burlap background. And I know some people like it. 1968 was a kind of an interesting year too in baseball and history in America. So um, there is that kind of like that love hate relationship with like the 1968 Tops for me personally. And my dad graduated high school in '68, so there's that connection, if you will. And so like I used to talk to my dad about like what it was like when he was in high school and graduated in like 1968 and stuff, and what America was like. And so I try to like look at these cards and kind of like think like what is going on when these cards are issued. So I have a lot of interest in these cards, not just as a collector of sports cards, but as a an interested party of history, let's just say. So again, the back of this card right here, what I'm not really a big fan of, see it says Pete Rose. That to me seems kind of there we go. That seems kind of cartoonish in a way. Other than that, I really love the design of the 65s. And there was another 65 that I picked up, and it is Sandy Koufax right here. And I'll give you another. glance at this up close. So there is a I think is it a tall anyway, there's a taller version, a large version of this particular card, and I actually like this a lot better. Um, but again, I'm a huge fan of Sandy Koufax, and I did a video on Sandy not too long ago, in fact. But this is another card. So the only thing here at the top right here, if you maybe you guys can see this again, I don't know, but there is like a hairline crease, which it doesn't bother me. And so again, I didn't want this card to slip away, and what I did was I stuffed it in the bottom of the stack of cards because I didn't want anyone else to get a hold of it. So I walked around a little bit and I thought, okay, so like, what are the pros and the cons of buying this particular card? Because usually, like, you'll go around and you'll see a couple of cards or whatever that you may like, and you'll just put it down, and then you're like, okay, so like I really want that card. Come back to the dealer and the card is gone. So like, how many times does that happen? Because for me, it's been a lot of times. So I stuffed it in the bottom of the stack, and then it was there. A lot of dealers and collectors say that you may get better deals prior to the show opening, but that's usually for like dealers, right? So, okay, so the um, the next card I want to show you is this right here, and the 1971 Topps basketball. I've told you guys in the past, I am a huge fan of this set and the 72 and a lot of the 73s. In fact, I think they're great opportunities if you want to get Hall of Famers on the cheap. This wasn't exactly cheap, and what I don't really like about it here, as you guys can see, let me try to not a bad card. I'm gonna admit it's not bad. The book price here says 100, but our price is 45. I didn't pay 45 for that though. I paid 40. Um, and this particular card I saw last year at the Altman show, and I was looking at it, and the dealer actually I've done a lot of business with in the past, but I put it down, and because I was hemming and hawing over this stupid thing, and I didn't like the centering on the card, so I put it down, and I felt bad afterwards because I did so much business with this guy, and he's a great dealer. So anyway, I was really surprised to see it that he still had this card, and I had to get it because I had asked him if he had this card, and he did have it. So I was like, okay, how much do you want for it? And he's like 40, and it's the same price that he had it for last year as well. So I was like, okay, fine. And Nate Archibald was actually at this show too. So let me show you the back of the card too, because you never know. There could be some novices who haven't seen these cards. So they look like this, and that bottom border is not good. So I'm wondering too if the graders give a different grade to the back of the card than they do with the front. You guys can let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. So that was that card, and the next card is the 48 Bowman Joe Folks, and so um, I really wanted this card bad for years and years and years, and this card is not in good condition at all. I'll give you a better peep at it. So look at that. It looks like the moon, but at $15, I was like, I'll take that. And so I actually found another card in the same, it was in a binder, and I was talking to a dealer about it, and he's like, let me show you a binder. and he had like all these 48 Bowmans and a few 57 tops. And I've done a lot of business with this dealer as well. And the thing is, um, I always recommend building a rapport with the dealers and just kind of like, seeing who they are as people. And I think it'd be easier for you as a collector if you kind of like um, just build a rapport with these people because you never know, you could have like some awesome conversations as I always do. So I also picked up the Bob Davies as well because it was right next to Joe Folks. Again, not a very good looking card. I'll show you the back of it, and it looks like this. Again, let me see. There we go. So kind of like not good, not good. But I was more interested in the fact that I could get Hall of Famers from the 1940s, and I always tell you guys too that you know if there's a player or a card that may be rare or very difficult or very expensive, you might need to pick it up when you can because you might not have another chance. And maybe sometimes, depending on the card, you may be able to upgrade later on. And so I would never tell you guys to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I put my mouth where my money is, or my money where my mouth is, and I picked up both of these cards. And I'll probably talk more about Joe Folks in another video because he's got an amazing career and amazing story. It's kind of sad, but I think it's something that you guys might be interested in. I certainly was, and I was like, dude, I really want a card of his, and so I had no problem paying $15. I could have I gotten it for $10, probably, but I didn't want to push my luck either. And actually, those cards weren't the dealer's. He was authorized to make deals on behalf of the owner of the album. So I had to kind of consider that as well. That if had it been his cards, he probably would have given me a better deal on them. But sometimes dealers go in with other dealers to either purchase a card or sell a card too. So it might not be up to one dealer to decide to buy or sell a card or a collection as well. And then I picked up a 51 Tops Yogi Berra, and uh, this is quite nice. I thought there's a little bit of, I don't know what that is down the bottom, but I was okay with that. I am okay with it because this is a card that's kind of eluded me for a very long time. And if you guys can see this, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to turn it, but in the top of a lot of these, there's gonna be like a partition or whatever, or like it looks like there's another card that was attached. In fact, that's what it was. So um, there was a long pack that two cards came in, and the collector had to rip the cards uh, off. So that's what you're going to see a lot of times. This is the number one card in the set, and it was a game. I don't know how to play that game. I wasn't around in '51. I would have loved actually to interview collectors from like 1950 or 51 or so if they have any recollections of this, though they'd be quite elderly at this point, I think. The backs of these cards look like this, and there's a documentary on Yogi Berra on Netflix right now. I think it's called Innate Over, and I saw this and it was absolutely fantastic, really great. Um, Again, Yogi Berra is one of those guys that I heard about in high school history class, and he's definitely one of the guys that transcends baseball. He's an American institution as far as I'm concerned, and I met Yogi back in 2007, and we had a brief conversation, probably like 5-10 minutes or so. Um, but I thanked him for his World War II service, and the documentary doesn't go a whole lot into that, but he was one lucky guy. He did actually put in for a Purple Heart after he got injured, and he actually did an interview about his World War II service where he got shot through the hand, and he didn't want his mother to know because it would have killed her as far as he was concerned. So he put it in the paperwork afterwards. But what an amazing person, amazing ball player. I have a buddy Hank who's in his 90s now, but he actually did see Yogi Berra play quite often. And I'm so jealous, you know. Uh, he saw a lot of those guys that I collect when he was in a younger man. So anyway, so I had to pick up this particular card. I saw one there that the dealer wanted like $650 or more for, and I was like, I love Yogi Berra, but I can't see a Yogi Berra card that I would pay that much money for. That's just way too much money. So I obviously I didn't. I just kind of like kept on going. But the other thing too I've noticed at the show was that if there was a bunch of cards that didn't have stickers on the front, I just kind of like walked on by. I didn't even ask the dealer because I really don't like that. There's so much going on at shows that I I can make up my mind fairly quickly if I have enough information. And a lot of times that sticker price is going to tell me quite a bit. And if it doesn't have it there, I'm not gonna just kind of like say, "Oh yeah, by the way," although I say that and it actually did happen. So the next one I want to show you is Hal Newhouser, the 53 tops. I love the artwork on these particular cards. I had this card when I was a kid and I sold it, particularly because it was not in very good condition, and I never bought another Hal Newhouser card ever again. I'm talking like 20 years. So I decided to take a chance. I had a very bad experience with this particular card at an auction, and I think I may have paid too much for it. And when you're a kid, you do stupid things, right? And you kind of try to learn from them. So I learned not to buy Hal Newhouser's 53 tops because I overpaid. I saw this card and I was like, you know what, I might as well. The dealer had a price tag of 75 on it, and I paid 60 for it. Not bad. The thing that you want to look at with this particular card, actually all of these, the bottoms down here can chip real easy, especially with the red right there, and they can be off center quite a bit. And also on the backs, that looks like a wax stain. So you might want to keep that in mind. I don't know if the grading companies actually consider wax stains when they're grading the card or gum stains. I have no idea. So I was like, okay, fine. I have a lot of Hall of Famers in this set. I really love the artwork too. The artwork for a lot of the cards was done by Jerry Dorvac, and he was a Hanna-Barbera artist, a future Hanna-Barbera artist. I think he did some Flintstones as well, which I think is Hanna-Barbera. It's been a long time since I've seen the Flintstones, but he did a lot of that artwork and some other commercial artwork as well. But he was doing those cards when he was in college, and it was a contract base. He said that he didn't do all of the cards in the set, and he didn't do the Mickey Mantle. Not my favorite mantle in the world at all. So the next card that I wanted. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too about Hal Newhouser, he is a Hall of Famer, and he won back-to-back MVPs in 1944 and 1945, and I think he passed away in '98. A lot of people have said that he really doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm not entirely sure that's correct, though it's been a while since I've actually seen his stats. So I'll probably do a video on him at some point as well. So the next card that I want to show you is this right here, and this is the Charlie Spikes rookie. Well, it is, but it's also Dwight Evans rookie as well, and I'm a huge fan of Dwight Evans. I'm not going to talk too much about Dwight Evans because I'm going to do a video on him, but this is actually in the high number series, and again, I've told you guys in the past that I've made fun of this set like countless times before. I'll show you the back of it, and it looks like, whoops, looks like that right side up. It's in the high number series, and I believe I paid $30 for that card. That's actually quite expensive. I did see a few other cards there of his in the same set that were like going for like $80 plus. So I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get my hands on it. And then a dealer had it, and I was like, okay, that's mine. Thank you very much. Again, I did see a lot of Dwight Evans, and I thought he got better as he got older. And I also had to pick up the 1974 Dwight as well. And I am not a fan of the 1974 tops. I think you guys can check that out. I think it's a very lazy design. There's nothing with it that really stands out to me as being spectacular. I'll show you the back of it. So I saw recently that Heritage has a tribute to the 1974 tops, and I'm like, why? Why would you do that? That it's a waste of cardboard. And so obviously I'm not the biggest fan of this set at all, but the card needed a friend. And so like I don't like to just complete, right? I don't like to have just one card. I like to have like two cards so one doesn't get lonely. I don't know, maybe I'm a weirdo, but I did pick up a Mike Schmidt, and this is his second year. And so if you guys can see that, there we go. So it's Mike Schmidt without his mustache. Looks kind of strange, to tell you the truth. But I did see Schmidt's rookie, which is in the 73. I actually really like that card. I think it's gotten a little cheaper, in fact, over the last couple of years or so. And I'm a guy who doesn't need his cards in near mint condition to be happy. I just sometimes when you just want a card, you'll get it in any condition. So I am that guy. So anyway, Mike Schmidt, great ball player. I don't remember actually watching him play. I did follow him a little bit in the newspapers when he was a player. So again, one of the greatest third basemen of all time. Dwight Evans, again, I think should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'll make a better case for that in a video on his own. So I also picked up this card right here. This is the 64 Tops Ernie Banks, the blurry version. And so anyway, I never really liked the 64 Tops up until quite recently, in fact. And it is probably because of this card. And who doesn't love Ernie Banks? So I was like, you know what? I need an Ernie Banks card in my collection, and I've had a few of them. I have like three, maybe four Ernie Banks, but I'm always like trying to pick up Ernie Banks cards, and he's not the easiest player to get a hold of, and so I picked up like two cards at the National. I was never a fan of his rookie, but I probably wouldn't mind grabbing his rookie at some point. It's just pretty expensive, so I was like, okay, what other Ernie Banks cards can I pick up that are fairly cheap? This card's not cheap though. That's the thing, is like he's getting quite expensive. You guys might want to check out with the 64s is that they are notoriously off center. And there's something else too. The top of the card where it says Cubs, that can be off just a little bit. And it might not actually be trimmed. So it's a lot like your 1957 Topps basketball, where the top of the card is real, like razor thin, right, between the lettering and the top, if that makes any sense. But if you measure it up with another card, you're going to notice that it is not trimmed. And I don't know how this happens. Probably a factory trim, but it wasn't. I don't think a lot of those things are trimmed by collectors or dealers. But um, I had to grab the card, and again, it cost me, geez, I want to say like $28. So again, not bad. As you can see, like it's okay. The back is okay. So I was like, I'm awesome with this. I really wanted this particular card for a long time, and it kind of turned me into a fan of the 1964 Topps. So with that, I actually picked up the Brooks Robinson 64, and this is actually his MVP year. And you know me, I love Brooks as a person, as a player, um, just a great all around human being. So I always try to like pick up Brooks Robinson's cards, and I'm actually thinking of doing a complete year by year Brooks Robinson run. And because I already have his rookie and the 67, I'm like, okay, I might as well do that. So I'm kind of like taking my time. And while I was there, the dealer had this card as well, the 63. And I was looking at them and I was like, which one do I pick? And I was like, you know what? They were $9 each. So I was like, I'll take both of them. So that's what I did. And as you can guys can see right there too, um, boy, this camera really loves my baseball cards. So that top right there, that top border is really like it's not good. I'm not gonna upgrade, but what I usually like to do is um, try to match with another card to see if it is actually trimmed. Try to even it up a little bit, and this was not trimmed. So I was like, oh God, thank you very much. But with the 63s, I actually really like the 63. I didn't before, and you know my tastes in sports cards has changed over the years, and I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it has. So the 63 here, if you guys can see the bottoms, actually there's a few things here that you want to look at. The bottoms can chip real easy, I think because of the colors, and then the corners and the sides especially can vary greatly. So you could have a card that's usually like 90-10, which would suck. But that always happens too. So like well-centered 63s are very difficult. Well-centered 64s again are pretty difficult too. And then I've also noticed that specific cards in the 64 Topps can have all sorts of print streaks going through them and snow as well, especially on the darker colored cards. So again, this is not really darker colored, but his cap is. But say Billy Williams is a great example. So I don't have the 64 Topps Billy Williams. I'll talk about Billy Williams in another video, but I've noticed that 64 Topps Billy Williams has been a nightmare, and it's because there's a lot of snow on that card and a lot of print streaks as well. And I've also noticed too a lot of print streaks going through the bottoms of the cards. So I'm not entirely sure what that's all about, but um, I did have a really great time just kind of going through the 64s as well, and one of the and the 63s as well. So there was something very interesting about the 63 stacks that I was going through, and I found this particular card, and it was this right here, Juan Marichal, and he's a very, I think, a very underrated pitcher from the '60s, and he's got that Johnny Roseball thing going. I think what he hit a Johnny Roseball over the head with a bat, which kind of kept him out of the Hall of Fame for quite a number of years. Which, you know, that's another story. But I saw this card, and the guy wanted $100 for it, and so I was like, I don't like it. Plus, it was off center severely as well. So I really wanted the card, and I looked around everywhere, and no one had a copy. And the one single copy that I saw was $100, and it was off center. So I was like, I can't do this, but I really wanted the card. So I got home, I looked on eBay, and I found this card, and it was like lightning, bam! Within like 2 or 3 days, I just snagged it. And so this is a 5, and again, I'll show you the back of it. Looks like that, and I kind of realized that um, I didn't have any Juan Marichal cards except for one, and that was a 62 tops. And I'm not a big fan of the 62s per se. The 62 tops, they're very difficult, and I'll go through that difficulty in a little bit. But um, that was oh, you know what? So I found a few other cards here that I thought were really interesting at the show, and so I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen one of these before, and it is a 19, well, so the guy says here 1946, but it's a 1949 Remar bread. It's a PCL, and it's the Oakland Oaks. And so I actually bought two of these things because they were $10 each, and I don't have any in my collection of Ralph Buxton, but I am a pretty big fan of the PCL and the Oakland Oaks from the 1940s. And so I do actually have other Oaks cards. Sunbeam Bread did a set, I believe, in 1949 or 1950. Sometimes the years can get a little mixed up. Jackie Jensen is in the 50, and I actually do have that card, and I'm a big fan of Jackie Jensen. That's actually a team that was skippered by Casey Stengel, and I believe he won at least one or two championships with the Oakland Oaks, and that's what got him the attention of the Yankees in like 1949, and then he had that incredible run with World Series with the Yankees between what 1949 and 53. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting, and there's a few other backs as well that I don't have, and I want, and a few other cards from the PCL from that era. And again, I'm a pretty big fan of the Pacific Coast League. They used to call it the third league, and it really was a very professional league, and I'll talk more about that. And then again, going with Brooks Robinson here, and this is the 1960 Leaf, but there seems to be some kind of problem with this card. Now, I did get it for $10, and I'll show you the back of it. And let me see. There we go. So, Sports Novelties Inc., Chicago. As far as I can remember, Sports Novelties Inc. was like an offshoot of Leaf, and that's because they were going through a lawsuit with Topps. And I haven't actually read the entire lawsuit, but I think it's because uh, they had inserted some kind of like a marble or something. But I've never actually seen an open pack of this. Now the problem with this particular card is I think it's actually trimmed, and um, I I didn't really measure it up. Now that's on me. That's my fault. I'm, you know, I just didn't take my time, and I should have. So that's my fault, and I didn't do my due diligence. But you guys can learn from that. So I always try to like measure twice and cut once. And again, like so, I didn't have another example to kind of line this up with, but that's what usually I try to do, and I just didn't do it. So like $10, it's a $10 mistake. And can I upgrade this? I probably will, and I'll donate this one to charity. But again, Brooks Robinson, I do like this set quite a bit. It is pretty difficult actually to complete. The last series is quite expensive, and actually that last series has Sparky Anderson in it and George Anderson, if you will. But that card is really very difficult. I think I've only seen it like once or twice, and I think one time it was like $350. So I was like, God, And then I mean that's kind of disappointing because again I'm a fan of Sparky Anderson, and so the last card that I picked up at the show was this right here in the 66 Philadelphia. This is the Gale Sayers rookie, and I I've wanted this card for as long as I've been a vintage collector, and I may have told you guys about this. So I was at a Hall's Nostalgia auction, and I used to go to their Tuesday night auctions when I was in high school, and I think it's the only reason why I got my driver's license. Don't tell anybody I said that. Um, so anyway, I used to go to their Tuesday night auctions, and then they had a Friday night as well. And I had a buddy Bob that I used to go with, and my buddy Bob, he uh, he was about my father's age, and so he actually collected a lot of this stuff when he was a kid back in the 1950s, and he got back into the hobby when his daughter was a kid, and so it got him out of the house and all that, and it was memories for him, direct memories. So not for me obviously, but there was one show where this card and the Paul Warfield came up for auction, and he's like, you got to try for one of these cards. And the time, I'm like, who are these guys, right? Me being a dumb teenager. And so he's kind of like pulled me aside, and he's like showing me these cards. So the funny thing is that like prior to the auction, you could have a preview of everything that they were uh, auctioning off. So he kind of goes over the finer points of both of these cards, the Paul Warfield rookie and this card right here. And first off, I'm like, dude, this is an awesome card. The colors, the design, absolutely fantastic. And the other thing too, a lot of people like is, well, there we go. The NFL logo right here is a real fan favorite, and so he was telling me all about both of these players, and he's like you got to go for one of these, and I think we had kind of like this thing where like he would go for one and I'd go for the other, but I got smoked, all right, and he did too, so I couldn't touch either of them, and I tried. I really did. And so like I wanted to learn more about both of these ball players. And so I went home afterwards after getting smoked. And so I learned as much as I could about them. But it was like years and years and years before I could actually pick up a Paul Warfield rookie. And I'll do a video on Paul Warfield because I think he's an amazing, amazing player and person. And same with Gale Sayers. No, Gale Sayers actually had he had a very short career as football players go, but this particular card always eluded me, and I was at the show and I saw a few of these, but the interesting thing that I think has really kind of baffled me as a collector is why are a lot of these cards really off center, and then there's a lot of creasing in this particular card. Not this one. But a lot of the Gale Sayers rookies have a lot of creasing in them, and maybe he was a fan favorite of kids putting the card in their spokes of their bicycles. I have no idea, but um, the card has also been very expensive as well. So um, I saw this and I asked the dealer, by the way, how much do you want for this card? And he gave me a really, really great price. Obviously, a lot less than what the sticker price here is. And again, I always say, like, leave room for negotiations when you can. And I was able to pick up one of my Grail cards. I'm not sure exactly why they call it a Grail card. Like, I'm not looking for the Holy Grail. Who knows if the Holy Grail is a piece of cardboard, but or maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, so there were a few cards that I was looking to upgrade at the show as well, and I was also looking for a few other players because I do actually collect certain players that I really like. And while I was at the Altman show, again, I didn't get to do a video on that. I'm really sorry about that. But I did pick up Lou Brock. And unfortunately, with this one, you guys can't really see this very well, but there is a slight crease at the top of the card. And I wanted to do something about that, try to remedy the situation. But I didn't get to find the card in any kind of condition. This is actually a short print, and I'm a huge fan of Lou Brock anyway. I always was, and while I was at that show, I also picked up this particular card too at the Altman show, and this was actually pretty expensive, and it's again another short print. And I'm not sure what's all about the short prints with Lou Brock, but he's got that 62 tops rookie, which I bought when I was a teenager. I think I was like 17 or 18 when I got his rookie, and I didn't think too much about the card at the time, but the dealer is like, "You want the card?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." I picked up that card and I just kind of put it in a box, and it's been there for 20 plus years. And then I decided, like, you know what? Like, why don't I just try to collect every single Lou Brock card I can? And that's what I've been doing. So, oh, the other thing too, so another card that I wanted to try to pick up there uh, is this card right here, and this is the George Brett rookie. And this is a real no-go. I mean, look at you can see that it's really off center. I got really upset after I bought this because of the centering, and I paid $50 for this. And I really wanted George Brett's rookie, and I've always wanted it. And unlike the Robin Yount in this set, and that one's a lot easier to find than George Brett. And then the George Brett rookie here, it always seems to have some serious issues, especially the centering on a lot of George Brett's rookies are just horrendous. So, and obviously you guys can tell, but you guys can also tell too on the bottom, the chipping that's going on. It's it's bad, and it's kind of getting me angry here. So I want to upgrade the card at some point, and I'll show you the back. So I did see the Pine Tar incident back in '85. I don't remember a whole lot about '85, tell you the truth. I remember 1984. I remember 1986 because Aliens and The Fly. I saw those in the theater. And thank you, Dad. I greatly appreciate that. And scaring the crap out of your son. So I do have vague recollections of 1985. I remember the '85 Tops set was horrendous. It still is. But again, these are recollections of a lunatic, I guess. But anyway, guys, so that's my look into the show. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too. So while I was there at the show, the first day on Friday, the line was like out the door, and for anyone who says that the hobby is dying, they didn't see this line. I was in this line for at least 20 minutes. Thank God it was a nice day out and I was talking to other collectors. But it didn't seem to me that the show was dead in any way, shape, or form. And it looked very healthy to me. Now I'm a vintage collector, so I don't really dabble too much into the modern hobby, so that could actually be that the modern hobby is actually having issues with price and finance dives, but that's also something that's happened for decades. Actually, it's nothing really new, especially in like 1994 during the strike, and I'll talk more about that too. But the other card that I wanted to show you guys, I kind of forgot about this, was this right here. And this is a 1920, was it? Yeah, 22 American Caramel, and it's Greasy Neal, and it's a really nice card, and it's authentic. So I don't have too many authentic cards in my collection, and I'll show you the back of it. Looks like that. So there's actually a lot of names here that I'm very familiar with. Pete Donahue, Adolfo Luque, really great Cuban pitcher. Epe Rixey is he's in the Hall of Fame. He's actually the greatest left-handed pitcher prior to Warren Spahn, and he's also a World War One veteran too. He was in the chemical warfare unit along with Ty Cobb and Christy Mathewson, and he was a chemistry teacher in the off season. And then, as you can see, Jake Dalbert right there, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not entirely sure why he's not. A really great player. I know of him from the Brooklyn Robins or the Brooklyn Dodgers, although the Brooklyn Dodgers didn't officially become the Brooklyn Dodgers until 1932. Bubbles Hargrave, a very well-known catcher, and he's in the 1933 Gaudi set. And let's see, Ivy Wingo, another really well-known player. Ralph Pinelli, I think that he is a umpire in the 1955 Bowman set. So, oh, and then George Tioga Burns as well. And I think that's Tioga Burns. There's two George Burns at the same time. So Greasy Neal is actually a member of Canton Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame, and he also played for the Reds as well. I think he had about a 7-year career or so. And he's on the 1919 World Series. So he's in the Hall of Fame, I believe, as a coach, and so you're not going to find Greasy Neal on any football cards at the time, but he is in this one. And then I forgot that I had a 1921 American Caramel as well. So this was actually kind of unusual that I would pick up an authentic card. But I was like, you know what? That's a really nice card. I was looking at the image and the overall appearance, and I'm not entirely sure why they said it's authentic. I haven't measured it at all, but it is a really nice card. So I was really happy to pick that up. And then the guy also had a Kid Gleason as well, but it had a lot of writing on the back, and I was just like, I can't do it. So, guys, that's my look into the Shriner Show for 2023, and let me know what you think about these cards. If you have any opinions or anything, I'd love to hear them in the comment section below. And if you guys were at the Shriner Show, let me know what you thought about that. It's again one of my go-to shows. I really enjoy it, and I always find interesting and new things with that show. So, again, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it as always. And I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye. That little mouse has been bugging me forever. Scared the shit out of me. I'm gonna beat him like a redheaded stepchild.